The impossible mission. The bridge of the VSS Prometheus hummed with nervous energy as Captain Maya Chen stared at the tactical display. Her dark eyes reflected the holographic projection showing countless red dots, each representing a Vraxian warship. The enemy fleet surrounded the Nyx Nebula, their formation tight and methodical. Behind them lay the smoldering ruins of humanity's greatest colony. Status report, Maya ordered, her voice steady despite the weight pressing down on her shoulders. Lieutenant Raj Sharma looked up from his console. The Vraxian Armada has deployed in standard attack formation, Captain. We're counting 87 capital ships and over 300 support vessels. He hesitated. And then there's us. Maya nodded grimly. The VSS Prometheus wasn't an ordinary ship. It was humanity's last hope. An experimental vessel built in secret using technology that defied conventional physics. Its hull contained quantum displacement drives never tested in combat. After 3 years of brutal war against the Vraxian Empire, the once proud human fleet had been reduced to this single ship and its crew of 318. The Grand Commander has sent another transmission. Communications Officer Eliza Okafor reported. He demands our immediate surrender. Grand Commander Xel thinks humans are scurrying vermin. Maya replied, pacing the circular bridge. Let's show him how dangerous cornered animals can be. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Everyone had heard stories of Xel's brutality toward captured human settlements. His 8-limbed species took pleasure in making examples of those who resisted. Maya stopped at the main viewport, gazing at the distant stars. 6 months ago, she had stood in the underground bunker on Earth as the Vraxian bombardment shook the planet's crust. Dr. Liang, the architect of the quantum displacement technology, had handed her the activation codes with trembling hands. Earth is lost, Captain, the scientist had said, her voice breaking. But with this technology, humanity might still have a future. The Prometheus must survive. Now Earth was a charred husk, its oceans boiled away, its cities reduced to ash. The few surviving colonies had fallen one by one, with Nova Terra being the latest to go dark. The Vraxians were methodical in their extermination. Open a channel to all stations, Maya ordered. Lieutenant Okafor tapped her console. Channel open, Captain. Maya drew a deep breath. This is your captain speaking. By now, you all know what we face. The Vraxian Empire believes our defeat is certain. They see us as weak, as primitive, as already finished. She paused, letting her words sink in. But they don't understand humans. They don't understand that we're at our best when things seem hopeless. Throughout the ship, crew members listened. Engineers paused their work. Medical staff looked up from their preparations. Off-duty personnel gathered around speakers in the mess hall. I won't lie to you, Maya continued. Our chances are slim. But the Prometheus isn't a normal ship, and you aren't a normal crew. Each of you was chosen because you're the best humanity has to offer. Together, we might just pull off a miracle. First Officer Marcus Wright watched Maya with quiet admiration. The captain had always had a way with words. We carry with us the hopes of billions who have already fallen. We carry the memory of Earth. And we carry something the enemy cannot understand, the human spirit. Stand ready at your stations. Trust your training. Trust each other. Maya ended the transmission and turned to her bridge crew. Tactical. Show me the enemy formation. The main view screen shifted to display the approaching Vraxian Armada. Their ships moved in perfect, hexagonal formations, evidence of their hive-like society. At the center floated a massive vessel 3 times the size of the Prometheus, the Grand Commander's flagship. They're moving cautiously, observed Commander Wright. They don't see us as a threat yet, but they know we're dangerous. Maya nodded. Good. Their caution gives us time. She turned to Navigation Officer Elena Torres. Set course for the particle cluster near the nebula's edge. 1/3 impulse power. Torres's fingers danced across her controls. Course set, Captain. Executing. The Prometheus moved silently, its quantum-shielded hull absorbing ambient radiation, making it difficult to detect. The ship accelerated toward a dense cluster of ionized particles, some as small as dust, others as large as small asteroids. "The enemy has detected our movement," reported Sensor Officer James Chen. "They're adjusting course to intercept." Maya's lips curved slightly. "Are they sending the entire fleet?" "No, Captain. They've dispatched a squadron of 15 destroyers as a vanguard. They're still underestimating us," Maya said. She turned to Weapons Officer Nadia Volkov. "Prepare to deploy Mine Pattern Omega once we reach the particle cluster." Volkov nodded sharply. "Mine's ready, Captain." The Prometheus reached the particle cluster first, its smaller size allowing it to maneuver between the floating matter with precision. The pursuing Vraxian destroyers were forced to slow down, their bulkier designs less suited for tight spaces. "Deploy mines," Maya ordered. Volkov pressed a series of buttons. "Mines deployed, Captain." The Prometheus released dozens of small dark objects that blended perfectly with the surrounding particles. Each mine contained enough explosive power to cripple a destroyer. The ship continued deeper into the cluster, drawing the enemy vessels after it. "Enemy ships entering the minefield," announced Officer Chen. Maya nodded. "Detonate on my mark." She waited, watching as the enemy ships moved deeper into the trap. Mark. The silence of space was broken by a series of devastating explosions. The mines detonated in sequence, catching the Vraxian destroyers by surprise. 5 enemy ships were destroyed instantly, their hulls ripped apart. 7 more suffered critical damage, drifting helplessly through space. 3 enemy vessels still operational, reported Chen. "They're retreating from the particle cluster." A cheer went up from the bridge crew, but Maya raised her hand for silence. "This is just the beginning. The Grand Commander won't make the same mistake twice." As if on cue, the tactical display updated. The main Vraxian fleet was changing formation, spreading out to surround the particle cluster. "They're deploying patrol ships to all exit points," said Chen. "They mean to trap us here." Maya's expression remained calm. "Communications, send a distress signal." Okafor looked confused. "Captain, there's no one to receive it." "I know, but I want them to think we're calling for help. Make it seem like we believe reinforcements are coming." Understanding dawned on Okafor's face. "Yes, Captain." She began broadcasting a false distress signal. The message had its intended effect. The Vraxian fleet shifted again, several ships moving to patrol the outer system, looking for non-existent human reinforcements. "Their formation is thinning," observed Commander Wright. Maya nodded. "Now for the difficult part." She paused, considering her next move carefully. "Navigation, plot a course directly toward the enemy flagship. Maximum speed." The bridge fell silent. Even for the Prometheus, attacking the Grand Commander's ship directly seemed like suicide. "Captain," began Wright, "with all due respect." "I know, Commander," Maya interrupted. "It seems reckless, but sometimes the best defense is an attack so bold that your enemy can't believe you'd attempt it." Wright hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, Captain." The Prometheus burst from the particle cluster at maximum speed, its quantum drives propelling it toward the heart of the Vraxian fleet. The move was so unexpected that the enemy took precious seconds to respond, seconds the human ship used to close the distance. "Enemy vessels moving to intercept," reported Chen. "Time to contact, 45 seconds. Maya's hands tightened on the arms of her chair. "Shields at maximum. All weapons ready." Deep in the engineering section, Chief Engineer Isaac Kimura monitored the quantum displacement drive. The experimental technology had never been pushed to these limits before. Coolant hissed through specialized conduits as the drive core glowed with unnatural energy. "Drive stability at 92%, reported his assistant, Sarah Lopes. "We're ready for phase shift on the captain's command." Kimura nodded tensely. If the theoretical models are correct, This will either save humanity or create a localized quantum singularity that destroys us and half the Vraxian fleet. Lopez swallowed hard. Let's hope for the former, sir. On the bridge, Maya watched as the distance to the enemy flagship decreased rapidly. Vraxian vessels converged from all directions, their weapons charging. "Enemy ships firing," announced Chen. The Prometheus shuddered as the first volley of enemy fire struck its shields. Advanced as they were, the shields couldn't withstand sustained bombardment from multiple capital ships. "Shields at 83%, reported Defensive Systems Officer Carlos Rodriguez. "Evasive pattern Delta," ordered Maya. "Keep us on course for the flagship." The Prometheus twisted and turned, avoiding the worst of the enemy fire while maintaining its trajectory toward the flagship. The distance close. 10,000 kilometers. 5,000. 2,000. "Captain, we're within range for the quantum displacement field," reported Wright. Maya took a deep breath. This was the moment everything hinged on. If Dr. Liang's theories were correct, they had one shot at turning the tide of this war. "Engineering, initiate quantum displacement sequence," she ordered. "All crew, brace for temporal distortion." In engineering, Kimura entered the final commands. "Initiating quantum displacement in 3, 2, 1. The drive core flared with blinding intensity. Reality itself seemed to bend around the Prometheus as the quantum displacement field expanded outward. Unlike conventional weapons, there was no explosion, no heat, no sound, just a ripple in space-time itself. As the invisible field reached the approaching enemy ships, their systems began to fail. Lights flickered and died. Engines cut out. Weapons powered down. Nearest to the Prometheus, the effect was most pronounced. 10 Vraxian warships drifted helplessly, caught in a bubble of altered quantum states. "It worked," breathed Commander Wright, staring at the disabled enemy ships. Maya didn't waste a moment. Weapons, conventional missiles. Full spread. Target the disabled vessels. The Prometheus launched its arsenal of conventional missiles. This time, they met no resistance, striking powerless ships with devastating effect. 8 enemy cruisers exploded in silent blooms of fire and debris. "Quantum dry status?" Maya asked. Kimura's voice came through strained. "Drive is overheating, Captain. Field has collapsed successfully, but we can't generate another displacement pulse immediately. The system needs time to stabilize." "Understood," Maya replied. She studied the tactical display. The pulse had affected only the closest enemy ships. The rest of the Vraxian fleet was still coming. And now they knew the Prometheus had teeth. "Captain," said Okafor, "Grand Commander Xel is hailing us." Maya considered for a moment. "Put him through." The main view screen shifted to show an alien face. Xel had mottled gray skin stretched over a skeletal frame. His 4 compound eyes glittered with malice, and the multiple limbs of his exoskeleton twitched with agitation. "Human Captain," the alien said, his translator converting the clicks and whines of his native language into English. "Your weapon is impressive, unexpected, but ultimately futile." Maya kept her expression neutral. "Your ships might disagree, Commander." The Vraxian's mandibles clacked in what might have been amusement. "A temporary setback. You have only delayed the inevitable extinction of your species." "Perhaps," Maya replied. "Or perhaps we've just shown you that humans aren't as helpless as you thought." The quantum displacement drive had worked, partially. But as Maya looked at the still massive Vraxian fleet surrounding them, she knew that the real battle had only just begun. Defiance against all odds. The face of Grand Commander Xel filled the view screen, his compound eyes reflecting the cold light of distant stars. Maya stared back, refusing to show any sign of weakness. "Your species has been a persistent irritation," Xel said, mandibles clicking. "But this ends today. Surrender your vessel, and I will grant your crew a quick death." Maya leaned forward in her command chair. "We both know that's a lie, Commander. I've seen the recordings from Novaterra." The Vraxian's upper limbs twitched. a sign of agitation in his species. Then you die slowly. The transmission cut abruptly. They're powering weapons across all ships, reported Sensor Officer Chen. Multiple targeting locks acquiring. Maya's mind raced. The quantum displacement drive needed time to recharge, time they didn't have. But there was one more card to play, a desperate gamble that Dr. Liang had theorized but never tested. All hands, battle stations, Maya ordered. Navigation, set course for the edge of the nebula. Maximum speed. Commander Wright shot her a questioning look. "Captain, we can't win in a straight fight, Marcus," she said quietly. "But we might be able to change the rules of engagement." The Prometheus surged forward, its engines straining as it accelerated away from the Vraxian flagship. Enemy fire lanced through space, most missing as the human ship executed a series of unpredictable evasive maneuvers. Shields at 62% and falling. Rodriguez reported as several hits connected. "We can't take much more of this, Captain." "We won't have to," Maya replied, her voice steady. "Engineering, begin charging the drive for a focused pulse. Route all non-essential power to the displacement field generators." In engineering, Chief Kimura received the order with alarm. "Captain, focusing the displacement field hasn't been tested. The theoretical models suggest." "I know the risks, Isaac," Maya interrupted. "Do it anyway." Kimura exchanged glances with Lopez, then nodded grimly. "Aye, Captain. Reconfiguring displacement field parameters now." On the bridge, the tactical display showed the Vraxian fleet in pursuit, their formation spreading to prevent the Prometheus from escaping the way it had entered. "They're learning our tactics," Wright observed. "Good," Maya replied. "Let them think they understand us." She turned to communications. "Lieutenant Okafor, open a channel to the fleet. All frequencies." "Channel open, Captain." Maya stood, facing the view screen. "This is Captain Maya Chen of the VSS Prometheus to all Vraxian vessels. You have pursued us across 17 star systems. You have destroyed our worlds. You have slaughtered billions of innocent humans." On Vraxian ships throughout the fleet, commanders watched the human transmission with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "But today that ends," Maya continued, her voice gaining strength. "Today, you learn why humans never surrender, why we fight until our last breath. Because unlike you, we understand something fundamental about the universe." In engineering, Kimura watched as the quantum displacement drive reached critical levels. The focused configuration was channeling exponentially more energy than the system had been designed to handle. Warning alarms blared throughout the section. "Drive stability at 29% and falling," Lopes reported, her voice tight with tension. "Field coherence fluctuating." "Hold it together just a little longer," Kimura muttered, fingers flying across his console as he made minute adjustments to the power flow. On the bridge, Maya continued her transmission. "We understand that sometimes, to create something new, you must first destroy what exists." The Prometheus reached the edge of the nebula, where swirling gases met the void of deep space. Behind them, the Vraxian fleet closed the distance, weapons charging for a coordinated barrage that would overwhelm the human ship's remaining shields. "All stop," Maya ordered suddenly. The Prometheus came to an abrupt halt, inertial dampeners straining to compensate. The pursuing Vraxian ships, not expecting this maneuver, were forced to adjust their trajectories, creating momentary confusion in their formation. Now, engineering. Activate the focused displacement pulse. In the engineering bay, Kimura took a deep breath and initiated the sequence. The quantum displacement drive's core went from brilliant blue to blinding white. The ship groaned as space-time itself began to distort around it. "Drive exceeding design parameters," Lopes shouted over the alarms. "Quantum coherence failing. Redirect power from life support if you have to," Kimura ordered. "Keep that field stable for 10 more seconds." On the bridge, Maya watched as the tactical display began to glitch, reality itself becoming uncertain in the vicinity of the Prometheus. "Brace for temporal shear," she warned. Then it happened. A needle-thin beam of concentrated quantum energy erupted from the Prometheus, striking the nebula's edge. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like a crack spreading through glass, a fracture appeared in space-time itself. The nebula's gases began to swirl unnaturally, pulled toward the fracture. The phenomenon grew exponentially, a quantum cascade that rapidly expanded into a full temporal rift. "What is this?" Grand Commander Excel demanded on his flagship, watching as sensors reported impossible readings. "What have they done?" The temporal rift expanded outward, engulfing the nearest Vraxian ships. Unlike the earlier displacement pulse that merely disabled systems, this phenomenon was far more profound. Ships caught in the effect seemed to phase in and out of reality, their hulls simultaneously existing and not existing. "Quantum displacement field collapsing," reported Kimura from engineering. "Drive is offline, Captain. We've got maybe 10 minutes before critical systems fail completely." "Understood," Maya replied. "Hold position." The Vraxian fleet fell into chaos. Ships caught in the temporal rift were experiencing time at different rates. Some accelerated, others slowed. Communications between vessels broke down as temporal dilation made coordinated action impossible. "The rift is self-sustaining," reported Science Officer Julia Nakamura, studying the readings with astonishment. "It's creating a feedback loop in the quantum substrate of space-time." "In English, please, Doctor," requested Wright. "We've torn a hole in reality, Commander," Nakamura explained, "and it's getting bigger." Maya watched as the tactical display showed more and more enemy ships being caught in the expanding effect. The Vraxian fleet, so disciplined moments before, was now in disarray. Ships collided as they tried to escape the phenomenon. Others fired wildly, hitting their own allies. "Captain," Okafor said, "we're receiving multiple distress calls from Vraxian vessels. They're begging for help." A grim satisfaction crossed Maya's face. "Let them beg." The temporal rift continued to grow, now encompassing nearly half the Vraxian fleet. Ships at the center of the effect were breaking apart at the molecular level, their component atoms phasing between different quantum states. "Grand Commander Excel is hailing us again," reported Okafor. Maya nodded. "Put him through." Excel's face appeared, but the transmission was unstable, his image flickering and distorting. "What have you done?" he demanded, his voice stretching and compressing oddly. "We've changed the rules, Commander," Maya replied calmly. "Humans excel at that." "You'll destroy yourselves too," Excel warned, his image breaking up further. "Maybe," Maya conceded, "but you'll definitely be destroyed. A fair trade, considering what you've done to our worlds." Suddenly, Science Officer Nakamura looked up from her console. "Captain, the rift is stabilizing. The quantum fluctuations are settling into a pattern." Maya turned to her. "Explanation. It's creating a stable wormhole," Nakamura said, astonishment clear in her voice. "The theoretical models didn't predict this. It's connecting to somewhere else." On the view screen, they could see the center of the temporal rift transforming. The chaotic energy patterns coalesced into a swirling vortex, a tunnel through space-time itself. "Where does it lead?" Maya asked. "Unknown," Nakamura replied. "But the quantum signatures suggest a parallel universe, maybe, or a different point in our own timeline. Our sensors can't determine." The Vraxian ships nearest to the wormhole were being inexorably pulled toward it, disappearing into its depths. Even Grand Commander Excel's flagship was unable to escape the gravitational pull of the phenomenon. "Captain," Wright said quietly, "we should leave while we can. The Prometheus can't withstand much more of this." Maya hesitated, watching as more enemy ships vanished into the wormhole. "How many Vraxian vessels remain outside the effect?" "Less than 20, Chen reported. "The rest have either been destroyed or pulled into the wormhole." Maya nodded slowly. "Navigation. Plot a course away from the wormhole." 1/4 impulse. The Prometheus turned away from the spectacle, moving cautiously to avoid being caught in the gravitational pull. Behind them, Grand Commander Xcel's flagship made one last desperate attempt to escape before being dragged into the swirling vortex. As the Prometheus limped away, the bridge crew watched in silence as the wormhole gradually began to collapse, its energy signature diminishing. "It's closing," Nakamura reported. "The quantum cascade is reversing." The wormhole contracted, shrinking from a massive tear in space-time to a pinpoint of brilliant light, and then to nothing at all. Where once had been the pride of the Vraxian fleet, now there was only empty space and scattered debris. "Status report," Maya requested, her voice subdued. "Engineering reports quantum drive completely offline." Wright began. "Life support at 63% and holding. Hull integrity compromised in sections 12 through 17, but emergency force fields are stable. Casualties: 28 confirmed dead, 43 injured. Medical teams are responding." Maya closed her eyes briefly, honoring the fallen. When she opened them again, determination had replaced the momentary grief. "Communications, send a message to all remaining human outposts and hidden colonies. Transmit on the emergency frequency." Okafor nodded. "Ready, Captain." "This is Captain Maya Chen of the VSS Prometheus. The Vraxian command fleet has been neutralized. I repeat, the Vraxian command fleet has been destroyed." Maya paused, the weight of the moment settling on her shoulders. "To all surviving humans, it's time to rebuild. It's time to reclaim what was taken from us. The fight isn't over, but today, humanity has proven that we will never be extinct. We will never surrender." As the message transmitted out into the vast darkness of space, Maya looked around at her bridge crew. Exhausted faces looked back at her, many still in shock from what they had witnessed and what they had done. "Set course for the Arcturus system," Maya ordered. "There's a hidden human colony there that will have the resources to repair our ship." "Aye, Captain," Torres replied, inputting the coordinates. Commander Wright approached Maya's chair. "What do you think happened to the Vraxian ships that were pulled into the wormhole?" he asked quietly. Maya shook her head. "I don't know, Marcus. Maybe they were destroyed. Maybe they're in another universe entirely. But wherever they are, they've learned an important lesson about humanity." "Which is?" Maya's lips curved into a small, fierce smile. "Never corner a species that has nothing left to lose." As the Prometheus moved away from the battlefield, its damaged hull illuminated by distant stars, a new chapter in human history had begun. The Vraxian threat wasn't eliminated. Their empire spanned dozens of star systems, but they had lost their supreme commander and their most powerful fleet. For the first time since the war began, humanity had hope, and sometimes that was enough to change everything.